Welcome back. My name is Joshua Belanger, and I'm going to share with you a strategy that 60% of the time works all the time. If you know the movie, it's Anchorman, but I'm going to share with you a strategy that right now is very, very difficult to execute or to make profitable, especially in long bullish runs. But I'm seeing some interesting activity here. I'm going to give you a thesis why I think it could be an interesting idea to look at these two, put them on the board just as a hedge with just where the market's at overall. So right now we've been seeing the market, last 2 weeks, the Reddit group, the Wall Street Bets group, target all these stocks. Now they think they are getting one up on Wall Street, but for instance, like on things like AMC then did a secondary offering shares at $51, which used that money to pay off who? The debt holders. And who are those? Pensions and Wall Street. So that's how the market is. But what we're seeing right now in the overall market is it's a bit frothy here. So I'm going to share with you two names that I'm looking at that came across the tape today that saw some hot money going into them, betting that these sink lower. So first one I'm going to look at, well, the first thing I always kind of take a look at a bit of a broad market. So one of the things I noticed recently is that China has been lagging. It hit an early high here at 54 and has backed down, and it's really flat for the year at this point. So compared to the U.S. market, this is underperforming. It's lagging. It's getting under the 50-day and the 200-day moving average, and it's looking to struggle here. So one of the names that came across my system today was in JD. Now I've noticed some other names as well. I have another Chinese ADR that has been just blew up in the other direction, just sank lower. I mean, not blew up, but sank lower. So I noticed just with my own holdings and a few other names that I've seen the last few days of watching where orders are being, or where money's going in real time. JD was one that came on the board today. So it's interesting here because it did get a little bit of lift after earnings here, but what we're seeing here is that it's starting to lag a little bit lower. So what I saw today was specifically in the contract and was in the June 25th expiration here. So what they're coming in here and 13,000 contracts traded. So this is very meaningful. They were coming in and they were buying throughout the afternoon anywhere from 60 cents to 80 cents here. So you can see here from 60 to 80 cents. Yep, 60 to 80 cents here. So we'll see how much this sticks on the board here. Again, $69. Prices there at 73. Where was 69 previously? 69 was right in this range here. So this would be one to keep an eye out for. It seems to be very weak. Notice this, it just kind of keeps stepping lower here. I hate to chase it, what's known as getting in the hole here, shorting into the hole. But these are names that can really just start to kind of take a poo-poo and sink here. So it's interesting to see this on JD here. Keep an eye on this one. And typically when I see the order flow in a specific name like this, it tends to be directionally right here. So the other one I'm going to take a look at, it's a little bit of a divergence, and it's the Hong Kong index here. And the reason I did Hong Kong is because you can see comparison to China, Hong Kong is doing much better. It's not lagging compared to China here. So the other one I did see here was in this stock, Silicone Motion Technology. It's an ADR here. So noticing the weakness today here, this is breaking some key level here. And it's right in between the Belanger bands here, so we could see it still sink a little bit lower here. The difference between something like JD here, and sometimes I get questions about what's on here. These are Belanger bands. Prices tend to kind of they trade sideways or they go directionally. Typically, if you have something that's coiling or getting just kind of trading back and forth, eventually it's going to have some kind of big move in either direction. If it continues to have a big move, especially about a 2 standard deviation move, it tends to hold at that level, bounce off, and then kind of back and forth. But overall, the trend is down in JD. Take a look back at SEMO here. And SEMO here is, the trend was higher. Now it's kind of flattening out here for my technical traders or my technical pattern traders. You could make a case for a head and shoulders here. So you can get a a nice head here, shoulder here, a little bit of a shoulder there, and watch prices sink lower to the downside there. So the activity that I saw on this one specifically was in the June contract here, so 10 days. So again, very short term, especially the June 25th. This is even more short term. Now it's interesting because they're coming in here and they're buying these. I don't necessarily know if I would want to do that same trade here, especially with 10 days. I like to give myself a little bit more time and possibly look to do something else here. And so you can hedge it a little bit. But again, right now it's right at the money, and this is what they're looking for here. So those are the two trades I have. Those are what I'm looking at. Again, a lot of the stuff that I saw today is very, very bullish, but the reason for the just the hedge and the thesis is because if you got a very long book meaning positions, if you have a long book of positions, you want something just to have a little bit of a hedge, just to offset that. Especially if you're trading, you are stock picking, you're picking plays, and then you're following money, and you do it that way here. So when we look here, you have on the SPY, and we could compare a lot of different things, but just broad market 500 stocks. Look here, it's just been very flat here. It's been very flat, and typically when things start to kind of get dull, per se, or hit a high, we see a bit of a dip back here. So those are two different ways that you could look at it. I mean, obviously you could you look to do it differently as well. I mean, you could buy a spread in the VIX to play volatility and so forth. But those are two things I saw interesting wise, where real money's going into the options market. Someone with some deep pockets is betting for, if they're buying them directionally. That's the thing with puts, to make it a little bit more noisy, is they could be hedging it against something else, but long stock. But specifically what I see in that JD, it's not a hedge. And same thing in what I'm seeing in SEMO here is these look to be directional by nature. So that's what I have for you. I'll see you in the next video. And make sure you like, subscribe,